Good morning, students. Today we will read about the electrolysis and different terms related to it. So, the electrolysis is the process by which certain chemical changes takes place inside the solution by passing an electric current, and the solution through which this changes occurs is known as electrolyte. This is the solution inside the beaker is known as electrolyte. And the two rods which is dipped inside the solution through which the current passes is known as electrode. The rod which is connected to negative end of the battery is known as cathode, and the rod which is connected to positive end of the battery is known as anode. So two types of electrodes are there, cathode and anode. And electrolytes, now you have understood, it is the solution through which electricity passes and chemical changes occur, and the whole process is known as electrolysis. Then while the changes occurs in the solution, if suppose we are taken in this solution the common salt solution, then the common salt is sodium chloride, NaCl. When the electricity passes, then two particles, two compounds breaks there. One is positive ion and second is negative ion. In case of sodium chloride, Na plus sodium is positive and chlorine is negative. And the positive ion is known as cation and the negative ion is known as anion. The ion which moves towards the anode is known as anion, and the ion which moves towards the cathode is known as cation. So now these terms are clear to you all, electrolysis and electrodes. One example is taken here. The simplest example is the chemical effect of electric current on passing through water products, which produces hydrogen and oxygen. When we pass electricity through water, water breaks into its components. Water is made up of hydrogen and oxygen, and when we supply sufficient amount of current, then it breaks into hydrogen and oxygen. And the original compound water changes into elements hydrogen and oxygen which have properties different from water. That means water is liquid while the hydrogen and oxygen by which it is made up of is gas. So this is a chemical reaction, and the above chemical reaction is a decomposition reaction. Decomposition means D means to break. Water breaks into its components and give hydrogen and oxygen. So it is a chemical decomposition. So the chemical decomposition of a compound on passing electric current through an electrolyte is called electrolysis. You can see here the more accurate definition of electrolysis. The chemical decomposition of compound on passing electricity through an electrolyte is called electrolysis. If electric current is passed through a metal salt solution, then the metal gets deposited on the positive electrode dipped in the electrolyte. I had explained you just now. and the cathode and anode, two electrodes are there. The metal is positive ion, so it gets deposited on cathode and known as cation. So the chemical decomposition and change of color and a few observable chemical effects brought about by passing current through an electrolyte. So this is about electrolysis or chemical effects when current or electricity is passed through the solution. Now, application of chemical effects of current. What do you mean by application? Application means uses where these chemical effects of current can be used. So, different processes are there, different uses are there. First is electroplating, second, electro refining of metals, extraction of metals from their ores, and decomposing chemical compounds. So, first is electroplating. Electroplating is the process of coating a cheaper metal with a metal with a more expensive or desired metal, and the process is known as electroplating. It is done by the electrolysis. That means the cheaper metal is coated with expensive metal by the process of electroplating, by passing electricity, electric current, or by the process of electrolysis. This is known as electroplating. हम लोग बहुत सारे ऑब्जेक्ट का इलेक्ट्रोप्लेटिंग कर सकते हैं या होता है. For example, silver spoon. Sometimes you can find the silver spoon. This spoon is originally made up of iron or any other cheaper metal. As silver is positive ion, so silver, after passing electricity, it breaks into positive ion. So the spoon which is to be plated is connected to negative end of the battery, and so it is cathode. And then the other silver metal plate is connected with positive end of the battery. As soon as the electricity passes through it, the silver metal comes in the solution and it get deposited on the silver spoon because there is attraction between the opposite charges. Here silver spoon is negative and spoon is negative, connected to negative end of the battery, and so it is negative, it is containing negative charge. Now silver is positive, so it will come towards the spoon and get coated over the spoon. In this way the spoon is coated with silver, and this process is known as electroplating of spoon. Same as many other example you can see, and the electroplating of jewelries with silver or with gold plated jewelries are there in the market. Actually the jewelries are made up of silver or any other metal, copper, and on it the gold layer is plated there. So the copper or silver is inferior in comparison to the gold, and then the expensive metal gold is coated over it. दिस इज इलेक्ट्रोप्लेटिंग, और हिंदी में हम लोग इसको बोलते हैं सोने का पानी चढ़ाना। तो पानी चढ़ाना मीन्स इलेक्ट्रोप्लेटिंग। अ लेयर, ओनली द आउटर लेयर इज मेड अप ऑफ गोल्ड or silver. See, one activity is here to make a coating of copper on an iron rod through electrolysis. Materials required: battery, beaker, a copper rod, an iron rod, connecting copper wires, dilute sulfuric acid and copper sulfate solution. First, we will pour the copper sulfate solution containing a few drops of dilute sulfuric acid. And then we will connect the iron rod to the negative terminal of the battery. See here, iron rod is connected to, this is iron rod, this is iron rod, and it is connected to the negative end of the battery, so it becomes cathode. And the copper rod connect the copper rod to the positive end of the battery. This is copper rod connected to the positive end of the battery, so it is anode. Now dip both the rods in the copper sulfate electrolytes. Now let the current pass through the electrolytes for some time. What we will observe? We will observe that a thin layer of copper deposited on the copper rod. You can see here a thin layer copper is deposited on it, and the iron rod has been electroplated with copper metal. So these are the applications of first application of electrolytes, that is electroplating. Do you know graphite can also be electroplated with copper? If in place of iron rod a carbon rod is made cathode, then copper metal will deposited over the carbon rod, and it is because carbon rod is a good conductor of electricity, through it is a non-metal, though it is a non-metal. Even some special plastics have been developed which conduct electricity and hence can be electroplated with metals. The most important application of electroplating are iron and steel articles are coated with chromium metal. You can see in the bathrooms the taps are there, which is electroplated with chrome plated. It is written there chrome plated. So it is the electroplating of iron and steel objects with chromium which protects them from rusting. If it is made up of iron, then the rust can occur there. So to protect it from rusting and corrosion, it is electroplated or coated with chromium metal, and it also gives it shiner look and attractive look. Then the process of coating iron and steel objects with zinc for a protective covering is called galvanization. The coating of iron with zinc is known as galvanization. It is also to protect it from rusting. Automobiles and water pipes are galvanized to protect them or to prevent them from rusting. And the third is silver metal jewelry can be electroplated with gold metal, and other metal jewelry can be electroplated with silver metal to make the appearance more attractive. Just now I have explained it. It is electroplated jewelries, and it gives an attractive gold and silver plated jewelry which can be obtained with less expensive metals using the process of electroplating. So it is cheaper also in comparison to the original gold or silver jewelry. So these are the Uses of electroplating.